Oh. कृष्णा, श्रीला गुरुदेव की मधुर स्मृति कार्यक्रम में आप सभी का एक बार फिर से स्वागत है। आज हमारा 330वां कार्यक्रम है, 330th program today of Srila Gurudev Memories, and I welcome all of you on this program. We'll start with Jai Dhwani. जय श्री गुरु गौरांग गंधर्व विकास गिरधारी श्री राधा विनोद बिहारी जी की जय, श्री राधा रमण जी की जय, नित्य लीला प्रविष्टोम विष्णु पादष्टोत श्रीमद भक्ति वेदांत श्री नारायण गोस्वामी महाराज की जय, नित्य लीला प्रविष्टोम विष्णु पादष्टोत श्रीमद भक्ति वेदांत श्री वामन गोस्वामी महाराज की जय, नित्य लीला प्रविष्टोम विष्णु पादष्टोत श्रीमद भक्ति वेदांत श्री त्रिविक्रम गोस्वामी महाराज की जय, रूपानुग गुरुवर्ग की जय, वृंदावन नवदीप धाम की जय, अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय, गौर भक्त वृंद की जय, श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय, गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल. So today we are very fortunate to have amongst us Sripad Rasik Mohan Prabhuji. He's joined us from Bhakt Bandhav Dham in the USA near New York, and I have had the good fortune of meeting him personally a few days back, and I stayed there with him for 3 days. It was such a wonderful experience, and today I'm again overjoyed to have him on the program. So first we'll hear a kirtan from Prabhuji, then I will show you a small movie which I made a few days back, which will show how his Bhakt Bandhav Dham is and some activities there. And thereafter I'll give a little introduction about Prabhuji, and then Prabhuji will speak about his sweet memories of Srila Gurudev, how he came to Srila Gurudev, how he guided him, how the Vaishnavas helped him progress on this path of bhakti. So all those experiences, we are going to take a journey with him today. So first of all, I offer my Dandvat Pranams to Prabhuji and welcome him on the program. Dandvat Pranam Prabhuji. आपका स्वागत है कार्यक्रम में.
आपको बहुत देख के बहुत खुशी हुई.
मुझे भी आपके फिर से दर्शन करके बड़ा आनंद मिला. और अभी आप एक कीर्तन हमारे लिए करिए प्रभु जी, फिर हम आपको
हम वो कृपा बिंदु दिया कीर्तन करेंगे. ठीक है
जी.
जय श्री गुरुदेव की जय, श्री प्रभुपाद की जय, सपार्षद गौड़ हरि की जय, गौर नित्यानंद प्रभु की जय, श्राद्धार मंजू की जय, जय जय श्री राधे श्याम. थोड़ा सा दूसरा मेलोडी में गाएंगे जो लोग शायद जानते नहीं, मतलब अभ्यास नहीं, किंतु आप मेरे साथ कर लो तो बहुत स्वीट मेलोडी है. ठीक है,
तो साथ गाना मुश्किल होगा क्योंकि सब अलग अलग जगह बैठे ना, तो फिर आवाज मैच नहीं करेंगे.
हाँ ठीक है ठीक है, वो इसका रिप्ले जूम में इतना अच्छा नहीं होता. ठीक है,
इसलिए आप अकेले गाएंगे.
ठीक है, कोई बात नहीं.
ठीक.
गुरुदेव कृपा बिंदु दिया कोरोए दासे, त्रिनपे कायति हीना. गुरुदेव कृपा बिंदु दिया कोरोए दासे, त्रिनपे कायति हीना. सकल सहने बल दिया करो, जमाने स्पृहहीना. कृपा बिंदु दिया करो दासे, त्रिनपे कायति हीना. गुरुदेव कृपा बिंदु दिया करो दासे, त्रिनपेक्षयति हीना. सकले समान करिते सकति, देहनाथ जात जात, तबे तो गाइब हरि नाम सुखे, अपराध हबे हात, अपराध हबे हात. गुरुदेव कृपा बिंदु दिया कोरोए दासे, त्रिनपेक्षयति हीना. कबे है न कृपा लोभियाए जान, कृतार्थ होइबे नाथ. शक्ति बुद्धिहीना आमी आति दीना, करो मोरे आत्मा Shata Koro More Atma Shata Gurudev Kripa Bindu Diya Koro Edase Trinapekshayati Hina योग्यता विचार किछु नाही पाए तुम्हारा करुणा सार करुणा ना हले कांदिया कांदिया प्राण न रखिबो आर प्राण न रखिबो आर गुरुदेव कृपा बिंदु दिया Koro edase Trinapekayati Ina Gurudev Kripa Bindu Diya Koro edase Trinapekayati Ina Jaya Gurudeva Jaya Gurudeva Gurudeva Jaya Gurudeva Jaya Gurudeva Jaya Gurudeva Gurudeva Jai Gurudeva Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Shri Guruji Maharaj Ki Jai.
धन्यवाद प्रभु जी, बहुत सुंदर। प्रभु जी की आवाज बड़ी मीठी है और प्रभु जी बहुत सुंदर मृदंग बजाते हैं, बहुत सारे अनेक वाद्य भी बजाते हैं, लेकिन आज मंदिर में नहीं, अपने कमरे से बोल रहे हैं, इसलिए प्रभु जी ने मृदंग नहीं बजाया, तो बहुत अच्छा मृदंग प्रभु जी बजाते हैं। तो जैसा कि मैंने पहले कहा, अब मैं आपके साथ एक छोटी सी फिल्म शेयर करूंगा जो हमने कुछ ही दिन पहले शूट करी है, जब मैं प्रभु जी के साथ था भक्त बांधव धाम न्यूयॉर्क में। तो उसको आपको दिखाना चाहूंगा और उसके बाद प्रभु जी का थोड़ा सा मैं इंट्रोडक्शन दूंगा और उसके बाद हम प्रभु जी से श्रवण करेंगे। तो ये फिल्म आप लोग देखिए। हरे कृष्णा। पूज्य गुरुदेव नित्य लीला प्रविष्ट ओम विष्णुपाद अष्टोत्तर श्रीमद् भक्ति वेदांत श्री नारायण गोस्वामी महाराज जी की असीम अहेतु की कृपा से और वैष्णव की कृपा से और हमारे राधा रमन जी की असीम कृपा से आज हम लोग इस पवित्र भक्त बांधव धाम में उपस्थित हुए हैं। मैं अपने परिवार के साथ, मेरी 2 बेटियों के साथ यहाँ आया हूँ। यहाँ पे आके बड़े ही आनंद की अनुभूति हो रही है। हमारे गुरु जी का हृदय यहाँ प्रकट हुआ है विग्रह के रूप में, और हमारे गुरु जी के अनुगत में हमारे पूज्यपाद प्रेमानंद प्रभु जी और हमारे पूज्य रसिक मोहन प्रभु जी, जो यहाँ के कर्ता धर्ता हैं, जिनके सोच से ये जगह प्रकट हुई है। दिस प्लेस इज मैनिफेस्टेड बिकॉज ऑफ हिज forward thinking and how he wants to join all of our Gaudiya Sampradaya, various groups, and carry forward the legacy of Srila Gurudev, whatever he has given. So we will hear from him, and with me I have my dear Sripad Tirthraj Brahmachari and Sripad Vrindavan Brahmachari, very nice brahmacharis, both of them. I'm really touched by their lovely services. They cook entire day, do all the work outside, inside the temple, puja, book publication and whatnot. Very humble brahmacharis, and I'm really very happy to be here to get their association. I'm feeling very overjoyed with their association. So now we'll hear from our
Let's Takaji.
Sripad Rasik Prabhuji, who is because of whose thought and whose endeavor and whose service attitude this whole thing has manifested. So Prabhuji, you tell us about this place, how this whole place came about, and what's the aim?
Hare Krishna, Dandavad Pranams, dear devotees. Hare Krishna. प्रभु जी बहुत मर्सीफुल है, ज़्यादा ग्लोरीज करते किंतु हमारे कुछ ग्लोरीज नहीं है, केवल ठाकुर जी का कृपा, गुरु जी की कृपा, वैष्णव कृपा है। So we are here and this is called Bhakt Bandhav Dham. Is our New York ashram. If you look here, you can see the land. We have 60 acres. This side is 20 acres. You can pan. This side is 20 acres, going back there another 15 acres. And then across the road, we also have 30 acres. So gradually we're going to develop a beautiful ashram site. This will be like a, what we call like a Vaishnav seminary, training center for brahmacharis. And also we have Gopa Mataji and Malini Mataji, Mangalagita Mataji for one house for ladies for doing sadhikas. And we have house for sannyasi brahmacharis. And then we also have 2 guest houses, so everyone is welcome. We have many festivals throughout the year. Every month at least one festival. Like we're having a festival now for Nrsimha Chaturdasi, 3-day festival, full day Kirtan Katha, Harinam, Japa immersion. So every month we have a festival, and we have sometimes larger festivals. Like last year we had a Srila Rup Goswami 5-day festival, Julan Yatra and Baladev Purnima festival. And then we had a Radhastami festival for 5 days, also called Keturi Kirtan, where the rivers meet. We had 60 hours of Kirtan. Wow. In 5 days, 60 hours of Kirtan, morning to evening Kirtan, late into the night. And then that was around the time when our very beautiful dear Shri Radha Manju was coming.
One more thing I want to say here about festivals. Even if there is no festival, there is festival every day here. The way they do their daily program, we have 4 hours of program in the morning. We start at 5 and finish at 9 o'clock. Lovely program. It's no less than a festival. So many stutis, so many nice kirtans, harikathas. Evening also we start at 6 o'clock and continue up to 8:30. So you don't have, if you're coming on festival, it is very good. But if you're coming otherwise, it is
more sweet actually, because more intimate.
Yeah, very intimate.
And
yes.
Summertime we have more devotees here, and also, you know, anytime we have 2 of these houses dedicated for guests. So if anytime likes to come, we have 2 houses for guests.
Yeah, guest house is really nice. We stayed there. I think after the renovation, we were the first one to stay, as Prabhuji told us. And it was really very nicely done guest house, 2 separate rooms with a kitchen also inside, if you want to cook on your own. So all the facilities are there, hot water is there. It's really, really nice. Anybody coming to America or New York must visit here. It's a must visit place, I must say. And we'll see Gurudev's heart now here manifested.
So yes, after our Keturi Kirtan festival last year, Shri Vigraha came. This is the manifestation of Gurudev's heart, Shri Seva Kunj. We can get a close-up shot. This is Gurudev's Murti we have here. So, and these are Srila Gurudev's padukas here from 1980s, 70s actually. Srila Gurudev was wearing, and he gave to Vaishnavas 1980s, and then they sent last year to help. Our mood is Srila Gurudev is our acharya, our founder acharya, and so under his guidance, the guidance of his disciples, we are like servants of the servants of Bharat Maharaj. So Lord Ram's padukas, they were the king of Ayodhya. The king of Ayodhya was Lord Ram's paduka. Yes. Our mode is Srila Gurudev's paduka, they are like our acharya.
So here the king is Gurudev's paduka here.
But under guidance of his followers, his disciples, his intimate sevaks, we're also serving and trying to have that mood of, you know, using our life energy like oil in the flame of the torch of Srila Gurudev. You know, keeping that torch brightly lit and illuminating. So that's why one of our main seva is publication work. We've done 21 volumes of Srila Gurudev's Harikatha, all of 96, all of 97, and all of the first volume of 98 also. Especially Vrindavan, Prabhu, Tirtharaj, Brahmachari, other devotees are helping. But anyhow, let's have a close-up of Thakurji.
Yes, sure.
This is Shri Radha Manju.
Yeah.
And very beautiful. This is, all Gurudev's disciples will know this painting of Shamrani Mataji. And here are their dear intimate Sakhis and Manjalis.
So this is Lalita Sakhi. And that side we have
Manjali, Sakhi and Shri Rati Manjali. Close up, Lalo. Ekdam pass hai. So last year we inaugurated and installed Shri Vigraha around Kartik Mas. So very merciful to give us darshan. Actually, they are the heart of Gurudev, so we are very fortunate to have a chance to be with them and to serve them. So now we're constructing a beautiful altar for them, like a Gaudiya style, wooden 20-foot altar, original carvings and everything.
So it's still work in progress.
Definitely, yeah. Last year, this space we're in here, this temple space, we spent the most part of last year constructing this with our devotees and very dear friends who helped us, you know, like very expert devotees. And this was all volunteer process. This entire temple was built by volunteers, the devotees from the ashram and devotees who came and helped, like Nandan Prabhu, Narayan Prabhu, Krishna Mohan Prabhu, Dayanidhi Prabhu. So many devotees came and helped us build, and also all the brahmacharis here and Mataji's also, everyone. Even we had a 3-year-old boy, Ananda Pranayani, our son Arjuna. And whenever we were doing seva, he would want to come and help. So we were pouring concrete, and he would want to get a shovel and also put in the sand and gravel.
Wow.
Right? Because our mood here is just, we are trying to serve Seva Kunj with the mood of Seva.
It's just like the Gilari which worked for Ram.
He was our morale officer, always keeping everyone's spirits bright. Here we have Srila Prabhupada Murti. Srila Prabhupada is also our Acharya here. So our Acharyas in this ashram, Srila Gurudev, Srila Prabhupada, and under Anugatya Vaishnavas, we're also trying to serve our Guru Varga.
Guru Parampara is there.
Guru Parampara is here.
And we have Saligram and Nursing Day also. We sing every day morning Nursing Stuti.
This is Radha Krishna. You can see Lakshmi Narayan, also Radha Krishna Shalagram. 2 sides. Nighttime they sleep together, and daytime separate in the other room. And Nishringadev here is present. He just arrived for Nishringa Chaturdasi.
Wow.
He's dancing.
Yeah,
Dancing with 8 hands. And Gornitai. So everyone is welcome to come anytime. You can. We have a number if you'd like to get in touch. 1-844-4-Bhakti. So 844-4242-584. Anyone can call us anytime and talk to devotees at the ashram. Also, you can come to our website, bhakta.org, bhakta.org. Or also we have a website, servelove.com for public outreach. Our mood is Seva Kunj, how to develop a mood of service. Prem Seva. Prem Seva ka anuvad, serve love. And this is like our active ingredient of our spiritual life. Service to Prem Surup, Shri Krishna, Srimati Radhika, Prem Surya, this is Radha Krishna. So we're trying to serve them, so anyone can visit there. And we're trying now to serve and develop the temple, so please, anyone who would like to visit, our mood is we want to welcome all of Gaudiya Vaishnavas, Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu family members, with this mood that we're all in this family of Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, especially in the Anugatya of our Guru Padma, Shri Gurudev and Shri Swami Prabhupada, and our entire Guru Varga. So we're just praying for the blessings of all the Vaishnavas, for their ashirvad, for their mercy, that we can sincerely and humbly serve with our entire life, energy. And so you can also meet the brahmacharis here.
Yes.
This is Tirtharaj brahmachari. You say something.
Very young brahmachari. Alone he can cook for 15-20 people. I saw it with my own eyes. No help, nothing. And he was working with so many gas and utensils and everything. Works very quietly, doesn't speak much. Want to say something?
I'm just very grateful to be here under guidance of Rasik Mohan Prabhu, who's been helping all of us in our path, and his mood is to nurture everybody who's here. His mood is to always help the devotees who are here. So only because of him we're able to have this place, and he's been serving Brahmananda Prabhu and Gurudev for many years in India. So I'm just very grateful to be here with such high association. So
yes, I forgot to properly introduce Sripad, Rasik Mohan Prabhuji. For those of you who are not in our Sangha, he came to Gurudev when he was a young boy, not a boy, maybe a baby, 5-6 years old, and since then he's been staying in the lotus feet of Srila Gurudev and Vaishnavas and taking their association and shelter, and he has been properly trained into Vaishnava etiquette and Vaishnava parampara, and now he is imparting that training to other young boys like Vrindavan Prabhu and Tirtharaj Prabhu, and he's also guiding us who are Grahast, and so he's been carrying the torch of Gurudev and his parampara, and with devotees like him, I'm very hopeful that Gurudev's mission is going to spread far and wide, and it's going to grow and grow and grow. It gives us a lot of hope. They are gems of our Sangha, and we must all support them whatever way possible and help them, work with them, learn from them, and learn the mood of service, which is very special for this place, which I noticed. Like he said, love and service, Prem Seva, which translates into Hindi as love service. Service with mood of love. So that is very prominent here. Instead of other things, this is one thing which stands out. So now we have Vrindavan Prabhu with us, also very quiet and very efficient brahmachari. He's got blue eyes like Srila Gurudev. I'm reminded of him whenever I look at him.
Blue eyes. He's always engaged in especially publication seva. So many sevas, gardening, Tulsi Maharani seva. His name is Brindavan, so naturally he's serving Brinda Devi. And publication seva, cooking, everything, all around her. Gem.
You say some few words.
Both just took saffron around this Gorpurnima time.
Okay.
So everyone please give their blessings. They can stay lifelong brahmacharis in service of Guru Vaishnavas.
Yeah, also very grateful to be here at Bhakt Bandhav. And the mood is just so sweet, and it's really, the name fits because it feels like, really we're trying to help all devotees and be the friend of all devotees, regardless of, group or this or that, and just trying to help all jivas really on their spiritual journey and serve them and cultivate this mood of service. And it's been, amazing to be here and
Both brahmacharis have been here like 1 year now almost. Going on, actually longer than 1 year now. Vrindavan's been here how long? Like
a little bit over a year.
13, 14 months, 2 or 3 came in like April.
10 months ago, yes.
But they're already so trained, it seems that they've been staying here for 10, 15 years. I saw how they work. It's really nice. And Prabhuji said about Bhakt Bandhav Dham. So this Bhakt Bandhav term is very, very special. It is a special title given to our Srila Gurudev by our Param Gurudev, Nityalila Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashtota Srimad Bhakti Pragyan Srila Keshav Goswami Maharaj, because he is the friend of all the Bhakts. Regardless of from which group they come, from where they come, he embraced all of them from various other acharyas. They have taken shelter from various other acharyas, and they came to Srila Gurudev, and he embraced all of them with love, and he gave a lot of honor to all the people who came from other sanghas. So same is the mood here. Prabhuji was telling yesterday that everybody is welcome wherever you are from. If you are chanting, it is good. If you are not chanting, then you can come and start your chanting from here. They are also welcome. Even better. So, and he has a lot of big plans for this place. I saw the place. There are beautiful streams flowing. They are planning amphitheater there. There will be dance programs. There will be program for new people. There will be weekend programs. There will be weekly programs, and for programs of all kinds. There will be Japa retreat, and there will be Sankirtan programs. So this place is going to bustle very soon. It is already, but it is going to grow and grow. And this is my younger daughter, Bhuvan Moini, who came with me today from Toronto, yes, a few days back from Toronto. And my elder daughter, Radhika, was filming this. I will show you. She was filming this movie. You want to share your experience here, Radhika?
Yes, it's been very amazing to come here. The Thakur here very, very beautiful. Srila Gurudev is very beautiful. Srila Prabhupada is very beautiful. The Bhaktas are very amazing. And we live in Toronto, so we don't have much association of Vaishnavas. So when we came here, we feel very, very strong in Bhakti. And yes, we feel like we want to serve Guruji even more by having association of such great Bhaktas. Hare Krishna.
Nice. When do you want to say a few words?
I think the deities are really beautiful. That's all I have to say.
And how do you like the morning program?
It's good.
Nice. How is the prasad?
Tasty.
Okay, very nice.
Could you please come again? Everyone welcome. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Bandhav pranams.
Bandhav pranam to all the devotees. Hari Bol. Shri Guru Maharaj ki Jai. Hare Krishna. Bandhav pranam to all devotees. We are here at Bhakt Bandhav Dham, and we came here because of the desire of Radhika. She contacted Malini Didi, who was very, very helpful, and she was immediately very happy to invite us here, and then we turned up here. I came from India to take them here for 15-20 days. And Malini Devi and her husband Jagdish Prabhu, they are very, very kind and very, very accomplished devotees. We have had the fortune of good association with them. Today they are gone outside for some program, preaching program, dance program, and Sankirtan. So we are going to go from here, and we are missing them now. We want to see them, but they'll come, I think, in the afternoon or evening. So we remember them and offer our pranams to both of them for being so kind and being so helpful, and we want to see them again and again.
Hare Krishna. So you got a glimpse of that Bhakt Bandhav Dham. So nice. It was a little long movie, but we got to know what happens there and how it is being managed. So today, as I said earlier, we have Sripad Rasik Mohan Prabhuji, whom you heard a little while ago, and they are lovely brahmacharis and people who stay in the ashram. So Rasik Mohan Prabhuji is a preacher of Gaudiya Vaishnava Bhakti tradition. Growing up in Krishna community in California, he received initiation at 9 years when he was 9 years old from his beloved guru, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Ji, who would regularly ask him to become a brahmachari monk and serve this mission. After graduation, he traveled to India to fulfill the order of his Gurudev and served in this Matha monastery for next 16 years. So he has had a long association and so many memories we can expect today. So in June 2020, very recently, Sripad Rasik Mohan Prabhuji came to New York to begin the Bhakt Bandhav mission in the United States, where he began outreach activities in New York City and established Bhakt Bandhav Dham, New York, a 60-acre ashram in Catskill next to the Ulster Heights Lake in Ellenville. In 2021, his team of 15 devotees built a temple and established deities of Sri Radha Raman, sitting Radha Krishna deities surrounded by 4 intimate associate gopis in the style of the famous Seva Kunj painting of Srimati Shyamarani Jadurani Didi, life-size murtis of Srila Swami Prabhupada and Srila Gurudev. Pujapad Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj is also in the temple, which you had darshan just now. So I want to say all these temple was built by the own hands of all the devotees. It is not built by any carpenter or mason. They have put in their own blood and own seva into this to manifest this beautiful building, beautiful temple and Thakurji. Even the murtis, even the Gurudev Shri Vigraha was built by, Prabhuji was saying, by their own hands. It is not built by any murtiwala or any specialist, but the Bhakts have manifested Srila Gurudev into this temple. So which is very unheard of. Not many places we find this. So Bhakt Bandhav New York is developing a Vaishnava seminary and academy and hosting regular festivals and events as well as book publishing. Since 2011, when Rasik Mohan Prabhuji began work on Sri Guru Darshan, a biography of Srila Narayan Maharaj Ji, Bhakt Bandhav has published 40 books on Bhakti Yoga. Bhakt Bandhav temple and ashram projects have also begun in Ukraine, Russia, Germany, and England. So you can see that how Bhakt Bandhav temples are growing under the able leadership, guidance of our Srila Gurudev and Pujapad Premanand Prabhuji, Rasik Mohan Prabhuji, other devotees who are working very in a loving manner, in a service mood, and spreading the glories of Gurudev everywhere. So today we are very happy. Sorry, Prabhuji, it was a long introduction. I had to show the movie, and sorry to keep you waiting. But now we are all very eager to hear from you, your experiences, your journey of your life with Srila Gurudev on the path of bhakti, which we expect that it will inspire all of us very greatly. Thank you, Prabhuji. You can start now.
Hare Krishna. Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurinmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Guruve Guruve Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tada Bhaktaya Namo Namaha Yam Prabrajantamanupetamapetakrityam Dvaipayano Virahakataraya Juhavas Putreti Tanmayataya Tarabobinedus Tam Sarvabhuta Hridayam Munimanatosmi Seva Kunje Braje Ramye Govardhane Girosada Radha Kunde Rasanande Tattat Seva Pradayakam Gurung Narayanakyam Tang Vande Vinoda Pristakam Yat Parasmriti Matrena Damodara Prasiddhati Yugaitam nimeshena chakshush pravishayitam shunyaitam jagat sarvam govinda virahiname. Bhajami radham aravindanetram Smarami radham madhura smitasyam Vadami radham madhura smitasyam Tato mamanyasti gatirna kapi Adevika kubaragare yadyavacha Yache nipadya bhuvi dandavadutpatarti Asya prasadam abudasya janasya kritva Gandharvike nijagane gananam videhi Shama sundara shikanda shekara Smeraha samurali manohara Radhika rasikamam kripanidhi Swapriya charanam kim karim kuru Aho bhagyam nanda gopa brajokasam Yanmitrang paramanandam purnang brahma sanatanam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jai Shri Guruji Maharaj ki Jai Shri Prabhupada ki Jai Gaur Nityananda Prabhu ki Jai 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 Shri Radhe Shyam. Hare Krishna everyone. So Prabhuji, if you want, we can have it more as a conversation. I'll tell stories, but if you want to interject at any point, if you want to add any comment or ask any question, it'll be nice to have an interactive discussion. So I would like to hear any question or any further digging you want to do or any point you want to make or anything you want to speak about your story of Gurudev intertwined. I'd be most appreciative. So there's a verse in Srimad Bhagavatam, 2nd chapter. Vadanti tat tattvavidas tattvamyavs jnanam advayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavaniti shabdate. Which means that different people see the supreme absolute truth in different ways, but ultimately that supreme truth is one. Not to get into the details of that philosophical conception, what I mean to say is, there's another Hindi phrase, Jiski jaisi bhavana jaise hari murat dekha tinte se, that we understand God according to our mood, and we see him according to our mood. In the same way, we perceive Sri Guru by our senses, but yet Sri Guru is transcendental. Aprakrita vastu nahi prakrita gochar, that a transcendental substance cannot easily be understood by something covered by a material veil, you could say. Aprakrita vastu nahi prakrita gochar. So how to understand a transcendental personality like Srila Gurudev, like our Guru Varga? Ati martya charitraya, their activities are supramundane. When Srila Gurudev would glorify acharyas, especially like Srila Swami Prabhupada, he would say that I am trying to help you understand not just how high the mountain is, but how deep. Not just what we see by our eyes, but it takes like a transcendental personality to know a transcendental personality and to properly or fully glorify them. Na deva deva marjayat. To access the transcendental realm, we must become transcendental. But yet we are so merciful, we are so lucky that Gurudev is so merciful, Krishna is so merciful, that they appear on this plane of the material world and enable us to see them, at least, to interact a little bit with them. So therefore Krishna says, Anugrahaya bhaktanam manusham deham ashritam. Out of his great compassion, he appears in this human form. So in the same way, Srila Gurudev, who is an eternal associate of Radha Krishna and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he also appears in this world out of his great compassion. And therefore he's described to be like the Vigraha, the embodiment of the mercy of Sri Krishna and Srimati Radhika. Karuna Gana Vigraha, the condensed mercy in a form as Sri Guru in this world. So I'm trying to remember, for these memories of Srila Gurudev, fond memories of Srila Gurudev, devotees like to hear, it's a relatable thing, like how different devotees met Gurudev, pastimes they had with Srila Gurudev. It's very sweet, right? To hear from people, their stories with Srila Gurudev. And it's Gurudev's mercy that he comes and performs these pastimes with us so that we can remember and cherish those memories. But we'll try to, along with the memories, try to understand something of the depth of Srila Gurudev, that it cannot necessarily be seen on the surface, but the mountain is very tall. You should understand, if the mountain is very tall, then it must be very deep. It's like a tree of 100 meters must have very deep roots. So what is the depth of Srila Gurudev's mood? Therefore, we have to dive into his teachings. So in this way, we can understand the importance of both the Vapu, the form of Sri Guru, and our relationship with the transcendental form of Sri Guru, and the importance of the Vani, the teachings. And if we have faith and take shelter of Gurudev's transcendental teachings, then that becomes a way to understand the transcendental subject matter. The Bhagavatam says, Shrut Ekshita. We can see by hearing, and that is darshan of something beyond the senses. To see something beyond the realm of the material senses, we have to hear about it from a realized source. And that becomes, otherwise people say it's like a strange idea to see by hearing. But something that is beyond our material vision, our sense perception, then we must hear about it from a realized source. So one time Srila Gurudev told this story, because I do a lot of transcribing and translating. So it's, I want to share a few things to give us some reference points. Gurudev said, when one time, Gurudev tells this story, recently I was translating it. And also, this is in our Sri Guru Darshan book of Srila Gurudev's life. He was giving class about Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada. And some of Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada's disciples challenged him and said, oh, how can you give class about Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada? You never saw him. He said, yes, I saw him. What? When did you see him? You just came to the mutt. You never visited you were too young. You just came and you met, your Guru Maharaj Param Gurudev. So he said, no, I saw him. And so they complained and took him to Param Gurudev. Param Gurudev called Guruji, said, oh, you saw Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada? He said, yes. How did you see him? By hearing from you. Because you fully realized your Guru Maharaj, you're also transcendental like Guru Maharaj. Therefore, by hearing about him from you, then through that way, I had his darshan. So this is our process of darshan. Therefore, it's very powerful to hear from devotees who have been with Srila Gurudev. I'm not qualified, but I'm fortunate to know so many devotees like Prabhuji and so many devotees who had so much time with Srila Gurudev. And I was also very lucky since being a boy to meet Srila Gurudev. So I will tell some stories now, just with that kind of preamble finished. I met Gurudev when I was 9. And I was lucky, we grew up in a devotee family in a beautiful community of devotees in California. And Gurudev came there in 96, first time. Gurudev had been invited to, this is New Braj, Badger, California. And we have an annual festival there since 25 years now, ever since Gurudev came. Now it must be going on 26 years. Every year, big festival, at its peak, we would have 1,000, 1,200 devotees on the weekend. Very ecstatic festival. The community members, we were part of, the kind of like fringe ISKCON society. And so there was a discussion whether we should allow him to come or not. I wasn't in that discussion. I was just a kid. But the community elders, you could say the patriarchs of the community, they had this discussion, and some were in favor, some were not in favor. Why? Oh, he is not part of our group. So this is something that one of the things we learn as we advance in bhakti, hopefully as we mature, that what we consider our group we should belong. We talk about, anugatya, guidance and shelter, and ashray, diksha, shiksha, guru. You should have like a concrete connection, but that doesn't mean others should be considered outsiders. Ultimately, especially for anyone who has any faith in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who's in that family of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we should feel like they're all our spiritual family. When we take initiation, Gurudev tells us we are now in a Chuta Gotra, Krishna's dynasty, Krishna's family lineage, spiritually, not materially speaking, not a bloodline, spiritual line. And so everyone who's in this Gaudiya Vaishnava lineage is part of that same spiritual family. But yet we're in our own, like I give the example sometimes of a tree. On a tree, there's many branches. On the branch, there's other like some small branches. And on those small branches, there's twigs. And on the twigs, there's leaves. So each bhakt is like a leaf on that twig, on that branch, on the sub branch of the trunk. So the main tree, because this is an analogy given in Chaitanya Charitamrita. The main tree is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The root is Madhavendra Puri. Then Advaita is one main branch, Nityananda Prabhu, Gadadhar Pandit, these are the main branches. So we are all in those sub branches of the main tree. So we should identify with the whole tree, not merely the branch or the sub branch. And that way we can see that we're all part of this Gaur Parivar, the family of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So they had this discussion whether Gurudev can come or not. And also, it's a little bit of because there was a lot of propaganda going on that Gurudev, he is separate, or is this, is that. And he had recently been, banned from preaching in any of the temples of ISKCON. And so there's different kinds of people. Some people think, okay, if they're banned, that means they must be bogus. And some people think, if they're banned, they must be great. What is the truth? This is something that is beyond, popular opinion, one side or the other side. Bhaktivedanta Prabhupada says, we shouldn't base, reality isn't based on opinion of people who don't know ultimate reality. Good or bad, this is subjective according to material biases and imperfect senses. But ultimately, the reality is that Srila Gurudev was a very intimate friend and of Srila Bhaktivinoda Swami Prabhupada, who Prabhupada considered him as a bosom friend, and Gurudev considered him also as a Shiksha Guru, an instructing teacher, spiritual master. And so Gurudev, he was the one who was instrumental in the sannyas ceremony of Srila Swami Prabhupada. He did the yagya for Srila Swami Prabhupada because he had taken sannyas a few years earlier in 52. And they had a very close friendship. Gurudev, they wrote hundreds of letters back and forth. He stayed in Keshaji Gaudiya Math for a long time. So there was, the glories of Gurudev and his relation with Prabhupada, many books have been written on that. Gurudev was also requested by Prabhupada to place him in Samadhi. So the relationship is very profound. And Prabhupada also asked Gurudev to take care of his disciples and to train them and to come to the West. He asked him many times to come to the West. So Gurudev came with that desire. And in Badger, they were thinking, he is not supposed to, should he come or not come? So they said, okay, let him come for 3 days, one community member said. And anyhow, everything will go back to normal afterwards. So this is kind of our joke in our community. Everything will go back to normal, don't worry. But it's completely different. When Krishna comes, when Guru comes, when Mahaprabhu comes, everything doesn't go back to normal. It gets better and better and better. So for us, it was like that. When Gurudev came, instead of going back to normal afterwards, it just got better and better and better and better every year. And so instead of just, people who are afraid of change, they think, let us just stay the same. Better to be miserable in what you know than to risk being ecstatic in something you don't know. So it was like that, the people, when Gurudev came, he spoke Harikatha for 3 days and immediately captured everyone's hearts. And we followed Srila Gurudev to San Francisco. And then that year I went to Karti with my father in Brajmandal Parikrama, 1996. So it was in 96 that I took Harinam initiation and my father took Diksha initiation from Srila Gurudev. My father became Nanda Gopal Prabhu. And that's when Gurudev gave the name Rasik Mohan. Before I was Ram Chandra Das, Ram Roy Das, actually. But I remember, especially in childhood, we get very deep impressions. So that's why, for parents, it's very helpful. Take your children to India for parikrama. Maybe not when they're 2 or 3, but when they're 6, 7, 8, 9. I went when I was 9. And I remember my parikrama when I was 9, and then 10, 11, 12, 13. They were such powerful experiences, especially meeting the sadhus at that time, meeting Srila Gurudev. Trivikram Goswami Maharaj was so kind to me. Also, when you're young, children naturally receive so much affection from elders, grandparents, and when you're an adult, then affection may be there. But when you're a child, especially, you receive so much affection. So I feel very fortunate that I received so much affection from Srila Gurudev and Srila Trivikram Goswami Maharaj, and from all of Srila Gurudev's prominent Shiksha disciples and many others, like Sripad Bhaktivinoda Tirtha Maharaj, at that time Shubhananda Brahmachari, Sripad Bhaktivinoda Madhav Maharaj, at that time Naveen Krishna Brahmachari, Sripad Ban Maharaj, and Rasananda Prabhu became Sridhar Maharaj. When you're like a 9-year-old kid, everyone is very affectionate. So, you get to go and cook with the devotees, you get to go and on parikrama, and Dvija Krishna Brahmachari. I remember Ramchandra Prabhuji, so many, Rajiv Prabhuji, so many dear Vaishnavas. I must have seen, or Prabhuji may have seen me there. I don't recall exactly, but I know Prabhuji was there, right, in those early years and throughout Gurudev's pastimes.
96, I think I did the whole parikrama probably. 1996 only, yes.
Yeah, so you can look at old videos. I was there. Also, Prem Pradeep Brahmachari was there. He was 6 years old, so he was just like a little chipmunk. But it was an amazing experience, going Govardhan Parikrama, barefoot, going to all the kunds. Especially made a big impression on me, all the big Mahotsav, Kartik Mahotsav. It's just such an amazing thing. So I would say for parents, when your kids are young still, 10, 11, 12, go to Kartik Brajmandal Parikrama, go to Navadvip Parikrama at least once. I was fortunate. I went every year, except for 1 year, I think 2002 or something. But I went every year consistently until I graduated from school, after which I went and became a brahmachari in the mat. Because when I was in 96, when my Gurudev gave Diksha to my father, and I got Harinam, then I remember asking Gurudev, well, when will I get Diksha? Because it was like, why should my father get something extra, And so Gurudev said, oh, maybe I'll give it to you next year. And I said, okay, I'll hold you to it, Gurudev. I'll have to give next year. So when Gurudev came next year to the Badger community for the 97 Katha festival. He stayed there for like 12 years. And that year I received Diksha from Srila Gurudev when I was 10. So from that time on, Gurudev wanted me to be a brahmachari. He was always telling me, oh, I was short, So Gurudev would always say, when you're like this, then you'll come to the mat, be a brahmachari, serve my mission. And then every year he said, now you're like this. When you're like this, then you'll come to the mat. And then, every year I'd grow up half an inch. And you say, okay, you're like this. Now when you're like this, you'll come to the mat, be a brahmachari, serve my mission. So for me, I grew up with this this kind of impression and instruction from Srila Gurudev and request from Srila Gurudev. So I was always, since I was young, when you're young, especially, everyone asks you, what do you want to be when you grow up? What are you going to be when you grow up? What are you going to be? Obviously everyone has different ideas according to our personality, our nature from past lives. But for me, it was like, oh, this idea, that idea, but really I know what Gurudev wants. So I was always trying to develop a mood of, like on a deep spiritual level, offering oneself to Krishna and Srila Gurudev, because otherwise, life isn't a joke, especially spiritual life. We shouldn't take these things too like whimsically. Life is very serious, especially when you're in relation to a pure devotee like Srila Gurudev. I remember since I was very young, whenever Gurudev would come, I would just feel like, because we hear so much, but more than hearing, you experience the presence of Srila Gurudev. So I would just feel like, oh, I'm in the association of Srimati Radhika's Kinkari. I'm in the association of Sri Radha Krishna's dear associate. And so I remember every time, we would wait before Gurudev would come to the Badger festival. We would all do kirtan for like 2 hours before he arrived. And for weeks leading up, we'd be preparing and decorating and preparing for the festival and everything. And before Gurudev would drive up the driveway, we'd all be doing kirtan and we'd be hearing, oh, he's coming just now. And usually Gurudev would come with about 10 cars, different associates and different people traveling from the nearby cities like San Francisco, Los Angeles, and so forth. So one car would come and hundreds of people, we'd all start dancing ecstatically. And I would just feel like, here is, Radha Krishna's intimate associate, especially Srimati Radhika's intimate maidservant. Srila Gurudev is coming. And not from like an intellectual perspective so much as just the understanding by the association of Gurudev's dear Vaishnavas, Sevaks, that Gurudev is not an ordinary personality. We say, Na karma bandhanam janma Vaishnavanam chavidyate. Understand what is real Vaishnav. Real Vaishnav is such a high thing. So Gurudev would come like that. And I was very lucky that, like I said, being young, sometimes you receive so much affection from like grandparents, So Gurudev was at that age where his father as Guru, Diksha Guru, but also he was very affectionate. At that time, Gurudev was now 80 almost, and I was just a kid. So Gurudev would walk from the pandal where we had our, the pavilion where we'd have our festival. And, I was very lucky. Gurudev would walk with his hand on my shoulder all the way back, and all the devotees, we would be singing, Govinda Damodara Madhaveti. We would walk from the pavilion down, and then we'd get nearby his house. And then, as we would turn the corner to his house, then everyone would start singing, Radhe, 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 Jai, 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 Shri Radhe, 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 Jai, Jai, Shri Radhe, 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 Jai, Jai, Shri Radhe. And then Gurudev would say, Jai, Jai, Shri Radhe. And then he would say more loudly, Jai, Jai, Shri Radhe. And he would say more loudly. And he would do it 5, 6, 7 times. And everyone would be screaming. And Gurudev would sprinkle flowers on the devotees and his smile. But it's more than just, these days people think, anyone has some charisma, some charm, then people naturally want to follow. But with Srila Gurudev, it was different than that. Really, it was, and this is about what is the meaning of real Guru for Gaudiya Vaishnavism. Real Guru is someone who is inspiring within you devotion to Sri Krishna and Srimati Radhika and desire to achieve service of Sri Radha and Sri Krishna. So Gurudev was like that. When you come into his presence, it's like you're getting pulled along by this current of bhakti ras, by Gurudev's transcendental vani, his transcendental katha, his merciful smile, his embrace, sweet glances, his affectionate words, his chastisement. Everything it's like you're getting pulled along in that current of bhakti ras, ultimately going to Hare Krishna. It's like you're getting pulled along in that current of bhakti ras, ultimately being offered to the lotus feet of Sri Radha Krishna. Like when, for example, Krishna enters into Vrindavan, the forest, Jamuna Devi will collect lotus flowers from her waters, and in a swirl of ecstasy, she will go and offer them in waves at the lotus feet of Sri Krishna. So we can think of Srila Gurudev like that, his blue eyes catching us with his glance of bhakti. We hear this verse from Srila Rupa Goswami. Shuddha Shatva Visheshatma Prema Suryangsa Samyubhak. That when the associates of the Lord Krishna, when they glance upon the jivas out of their great compassion, within that glance, there's bhakti ras present, and it can attract you. So like that, the Jamuna is offering lotus flowers to Sri Krishna's lotus feet in the same way the blue eyes of Srila Gurudev, like the blue Jamuna. Nila Jamuna Rajal, those blue eyes of Srila Gurudev are attracting so many souls lost in samsara and taking them and helping the Atma blossom into a beautiful flower of bhakti ras, prem, and offer to Srila Gurudev's lotus feet, Srila Radha Krishna's lotus feet. So Gurudev would collect, offer to the lotus feet of Sri Radha Krishna. So with Srila Gurudev, you could feel that presence of his, and we were inspired by his presence to offer ourselves to Radha Krishna. And so it was such a powerful, powerful experience. I remember Srila Gurudev would speak such powerful katha. I think it's a very important difference between, there's many dharmas, many religious assemblies, many dharma sabha, many satsangas. But when you're in the presence of someone like Srila Gurudev on that level, really what he's doing is pulling you towards your highest ultimate spiritual potential, not remaining satisfied with some kind of societal religious group, but ultimately that how can we be in the group of servants of Srimati Radhika and Sri Krishna? So Gurudev was like that. And therefore, I remember Gurudev would give katha. One time I was just transcribing this and proofreading the other day. Gurudev talked about this in Australia on January 13th, 1998. This is volume 22 of our series that we're publishing all Gurudev's lectures. So in volume 22, January 13th, 1998, Australia, Gurudev said, he talked about sadhana and sadhya. What is the process? What is the practice we're going through? And what is the goal? He said, in this world, people have different goals and different processes to get to the goal. So people have a sadhana and a sadhya. And he said, in this world, most people, they think the sadhya, the goal is money and happiness. And so they think of money as the goal to get happiness. And they think, so the sadhya is like some kind of job to get what you want. The sadhana is a job and the goal is your money. So he said, depending on what your goal is, you'll work in a different way. He said, if you want to build a house, you have to get some money. So the sadhana is getting the money. The goal is building a house. He said, if you want to go to heaven, going to heaven is the goal, sadhya, and the way, the sadhana is what? The way is pious deeds, sukriti, punya karma. Then if you want to get liberation, you want to get mukti, then the goal is mukti, the way, the sadhana is gyan, path of knowledge, gyan yoga. Okay? Then he said, if you want to get bhakti, pure bhakti, if you want to achieve the service of Sri Krishna in the spiritual world, Braj, then the way, the sadhana is pure bhakti, pure devotional service. Anya bilashta shunyam jnana karma dinavritam anukulyena krishnanu shilanam bhakti ruttama. That is the process. Uttama bhakti. And so Gurudev describes there's so many processes of that Uttama bhakti, but he says if you want that, then the main limbs are association with devotees, sadhu sangha, nam kirtan, bhagavat shravan, mathurava shraddha, shrimurti sevan. Be with devotees, sadhu sangha, perform nam kirtan, hear Bhagavat Katha or any Krishna Katha, right? Go to the holy places and worship the deities with faith. So we can see how Gurudev is like a great acharya in our Gaudiya line, because he engaged everyone in this nam kirtan, Bhagavat shravan, sadhu sangha, dham vas, and deity worship with faith. That's why Gurudev established his heart, seva kunj. He said, if you worship them with faith, you can enter into bhajan. What is real spiritual absorption and practice? So I would say, for me, that's something that really sticks out in the memories of Srila Gurudev is how much Gurudev helped us go towards the real goal of life and understand what is the goal of life, and then understand the process and help us follow the process, the abhideya, the way. Because otherwise it just becomes like a community and society. And so we feel good, or we're happy, we have some association, we belong to something. A lot of the positive benefits of a community membership, belonging, good relationships in this world, harmonious moral behavior, and things like that. But Gurudev said, ultimately, without bhakti ras, it's all meaningless. Ultimately, we should endeavor for bhakti ras. So that's the speciality of, one of the specialities of Srila Gurudev is that he really drew us up to a higher understanding of what we are meant to do here in this world, and how we can develop that relationship with Radha Krishna. So Gurudev would tell me like that when I was young, he wanted me to be brahmachari. And I remember, every year I would try, between school and, different activities and work and helping my parents. We would go to different festivals with Gurudev. We would go to Houston. Sometimes went to Alachua and we did a program in Hawaii, and so many places Gurudev was always traveling. Kartik, Brajmandal Parikrama, Navadip Parikrama. One year we had a Gurukul that Gurudev started called the New Braj Village School, like a private school. And one time we all did a trip to Houston for a program with Srila Gurudev. That was in 2004 and 2005, I think, or maybe 2006 was one of the years. But one of the years, I remember we were just young boys and we had like 25 students. And we were sitting with Gurudev in Houston in one of the devotees' houses. And we're very fortunate to have darshan, question and answers with Srila Gurudev. So one of the boys asked Gurudev, how can we get your mercy? Gurudev, how can we get your mercy? And Gurudev said, my mercy is like a river. It's up to you to jump in. And so I think that's an important thing to remember, is that Gurudev comes to this world, gives us all opportunity to advance in spiritual life, but we must embrace that. That's why in English we have the saying, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. They have to drink. Even you put their head in the water, they have to drink. So Gurudev's mercy is there waiting for us. But we can, that's why they say, 2 fingers short. The story of Mother Yashoda trying to bind Krishna. Chesta, or our own endeavor, is very important, right? There's mercy and there's effort. So Gurudev said, my mercy is always present, but you must dive in. So that's something I took as an important thing. I always remember that. And another thing Gurudev said, one of the boys asked him, okay, how do you want us to act and behave? And Gurudev said, Gurudev kind of made a joke. Gurudev said, every day you should try to eat the most delicious, opulent foodstuffs. Try to collect really good food and just eat every day to completely satisfy your senses. Eat as good as you can. And then he said, and you should dress like a king. Dress with very opulent royal clothes. Dress like a king and eat like a king. And everyone was a little bit shocked. And Gurudev let it sink in for a minute. And he said, no. And then he said the verse that Mahaprabhu taught Raghunath Das Goswami. Bhalo na kaibo, bhalo na paribo, amani manad, Krishna nam sadalabe, brajirada Krishna manasi seva kuribe. So don't eat overly opulent foodstuffs. Don't dress so opulently. Being very humble, respecting others without desiring respect for yourself. Always chant the names of Shri Krishna while in your mind serving Srimati Radhika and Krishna in Braj. Mani manad hoy Krishna nam sadalabe, braji Radha Krishna manasi seva kuribe. Serve Radha Krishna in Braj in your mind while chanting Nam. And people say, no, are not qualified. The qualification is also given. That's why the first line is said, Balo na kaibo, bhalo na paribo. If you're trying to live and enjoy all things of opulence in this world, then how can you have genuine greed for serving in the spiritual world? First, you have to transcend above material entanglements. Therefore, there's an important verse referring to who's qualified to, really be a sadhu, to speak Harikatha, to free you from samsara. That is said, Nivrittatar Sherupa Giyamanad. Bhavoshadat Shrotamano Viramat, Ka Uttama Sloka Gunanuvadat, Puan Virajeta Vinapashugnat. Someone who is free of material thirst. So Gurudev is saying, try to diminish your material hankerings. This is the second anartha called Asat Trishna. There's 4 primary anarthas: Swarup, Brahm, mistaken identity, Asat Trishna, material thirst, Hriday Durbalya, weakness of heart, and Aparad, offenses towards seva, the service, towards the Dham, the holy places, towards seva, towards Vaishnav, and towards Nam. And there's so many other categories. But Asat Trishna, try to reduce your material hankerings and increase your spiritual hankerings. But then Gurudev would said another thing that's very important. He said, ultimately, the best way to get rid of anarthas is not to chase after them and always think about them. Gurudev said, don't chase your shadow, because you'll always be chasing your shadow your whole life. Right? You can say, oh, my anarthas, those are because we're turning away from Krishna, then we have anarthas. That is like our shadow. If you turn towards Krishna, it said Godhead is light. Turn towards light, then you won't be in the shadow. Your shadow will be behind you. And if you turn away from Krishna, then Maya is darkness. Swami Prabhupada writes this in his magazine, Back to Godhead. Godhead is light, nescience is darkness. Where there is Godhead, there cannot be nescience. So Gurudev said, don't just chase after your anarthas. Oh, I have so many anarthas. I have so many anarthas. Always chasing your shadow. He said, your whole life you can chase your shadow. Turn towards Krishna and go towards Krishna with attachment, with taste. So I always remember that. Gurudev would say, don't wait for the river to dry up to cross. मतलब नदियाँ सूख जाएगी, इसके बाद आप बाहर ठहर जाओ. मतलब wait until the river dries, then go across the river. Gurudev said, no. Get on a boat and go across the river. Don't wait. When will the river dry? There's no guarantee. So therefore we say, how do you get rid of anarthas? Bhakti parang bhagavati pratilabhya kamam. First, bhakti must arise. Bhakti param bhagavati for Sri Krishna, Sri Hari. Pratilabhya kamam. Afterwards, material desires will go away. That hridrog, disease of the heart, will be vanquished by that medicine of Braja Bhakti Ras. So this is not our opinion. This is Sukadev Goswami's opinion. He said in the Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, in the chapters about Ras Panchadhyay, 1033, he says, not in 1033, but in this chapter, speaking about Ras Leelas, he says, Vikriditam vrajavaduviridam cha Vishnu shradanvito anusuyat atavarna yadya bhakti parang bhagavati pratilabhya kamam hridrogam asva pinotya chirena dhira. This is an important teaching of Srila Gurudev for us to remember, is try to minimize your material attachments and your material hankerings and increase your spiritual hankering, your desire. That's your greed for Braja Bhakti Ras. And so Gurudev would say, therefore, you should hear about Krishna Katha. Krishna Katha is what can awaken greed. Therefore, we say, Gurudev said this about sadhana and sadhya. If your goal is Braja Bhakti Ras, then your sadhana must be what? Krishna Bhakti Ras Bhavitamati Kriyatam Jadi Kutopi Labdite Tatra Lolyam Api Mulyam Ekalam Janma Koti Sukritarna Labdite. Your sadhana for achieving Braja Bhakti Ras is not just Sukriti or material pious works. He said it is sadhu sangha of the highest caliber. Finding sadhu sangha of the highest caliber who has that Krishna Bhakti Ras Bhavitamati, complete absorption in Krishna Bhakti Ras. Take their association, and then that greed will awaken in your heart. That greed can gain you entrance into the realm of transcendental Braj. So I would say that's something that really epitomizes Srila Gurudev. Therefore, Gurudev would say, I am in ISKCON. Gurudev would say like that. Why? Because Gurudev is like the embodied form of ISKCON. What does that mean? The Srila Swami Prabhupada writes in his Katha, he would speak this also, that ISKCON is like the mood of the verse of Rupa Goswami, Krishna Bhakti Ras Bhavitamati. That means pure Krishna consciousness. Bhavitamati means the mood and the mind, intelligence, all absorbed in Krishna Bhakti Ras. Bhakti Ras is not just bhakti, but the moods of loving devotional service found in the Brajabasis for Sri Krishna. That is Krishna Bhakti Ras. And those Vaishnavas who are Bhavitamati, always absorbed in that and encouraging others in that, awakening greed for that in others, then they are the preachers or the living embodiments of the Krishna consciousness movement. And Swami Prabhupada, he established the Krishna Consciousness Society, International Society for Krishna Consciousness, based on this verse of Rupa Goswami, Krishna Bhakti Ras Bhavitamati. And therefore, in the Hindi Anuvad, it's called the Krishna Bhavanamrita Sangha. Correct? On all the Srimad Bhagavatam books and so forth, it says Krishna Bhavanamrita Sangha. So Srila Gurudev, he was the living embodiment of Krishna Bhakti Ras Bhavitamati, pure Krishna consciousness. So how can he not be a member of the society? So this is an important understanding, and that's why wherever the pure sadhu is present, that is where the pure Krishna consciousness movement is present. And so that's it. Therefore, bhakti is described to be like a Jamuna, sometimes going in a tere mere way. It's not always flowing in a straight line. But ultimately, the destination is one. And all Vaishnavas were all aspiring for that service to Sri Radha Krishna and Gauranga Mahaprabhu. I want to tell some more stories, but the Vani is also important. So one other thing Gurudev said is, if we desire, we should understand our goal. If we desire to serve like the gopis, like the maidservants Srimati Radhika, then we cannot merely serve under the guidance of those in the mood of Jashoda Mata or Nanda Baba or Sridham or Subal. So you have to understand your goal and try to follow in that way that you can achieve your goal. Otherwise, it becomes impossible. So Gurudev.
Prabhuji, we want to see if you have some photographs when you were young with Gurudev. So if you have later in the program, maybe you can send me on WhatsApp. So maybe
some
you can,
photos.
Yeah, you have with Gurudev when you were young, like you were 9-10 years old.
Yeah, there's many photos. I don't have a collection. I know Subal Prabhuji was taking lots of photos. I have some photos of me with Trivikram Maharaj when I was 9. And with Gurudev,
Please
think
send
I
me on
have.
WhatsApp. I will share with everyone.
Okay, later. I'll give
Whenever
it.
you have time, yeah. Another thing we want to know, yeah, you said you always been loved like a grandfather is loving his grandchild because you were young, 10 years old, and yes, you were very lovable. So did Gurudev ever get angry at you? Did he chastise you or something?
Gurudev was very affectionate. I remember like when he would come to Badger for a festival, almost every day he would walk the whole pavilion back like 100 meters, hundreds of devotees, and he would always like place his hand on my shoulder. And I so many times once we were standing by the pool and he would say like that, especially he would go like that. Now you're short. When you're tall, I want you to come to the mat. He didn't even say I want you. He said you will. When you're taller, you'll come to the mat, be a brahmachari, serve my mission. So he would always say like that. And
that's what we are seeing now. What he said is everything is coming true exactly as he said, because he's a Mahabhagavat. He can see our 100 lifetimes ahead and behind also. He knows exactly what we are going to do. I've also heard that you've gone on Bengal Prachar, which is very, very austere, especially for Western devotees. And you learned Bengali and Hindi, which is not very usual for Western devotees to learn. So how was these experiences? How did you learn these languages? And how did you go on Bengal Prachar? Did Gurudev give you an order, or you decided on your own, or how?
Gurudev gave me order. So I'll fast forward. When we had many interactions when I was younger, but then when especially for me, the turning point was, and I'll get there very quickly now. When I was in like 2000, probably 1 or 2 or those years in Badger, Gurudev was giving very nice classes on Raghunath Das Goswami, and he had spoken that in the school as well. And so I remember this really affected me, and I was really praying to Gurudev. And sometimes the katha is so powerful, you think, okay, Gurudev desires this, let's give this life to Krishna. I remember, we hear that ek bar dekh le chakshe jal, that if one time, we offer our heart to Krishna, then he accepts and he'll direct the rest of our life, even if it's not always perfect. If you once offer yourself to Krishna, then the rest is up to him. So I remember Gurudev's katha was so powerful. Gurudev's instructions, a very heavy instruction, from when you're a child. But I really felt like by Gurudev's mercy and by Shakti and by his instruction and by his powerful katha and by chanting nicely, then I was able to, at least to now, to try to serve him, to live in the mat for so many years. So I joined the mat some years after, as soon as I graduated, and I lived there in Mathura for since 2005 to 2012. We lived in Keshavji Gaudiya Mat, and we stayed 6 months in Giridhari Gaudiya Mat, and we were there. We helped. We were there searching for Gurudev's mat in Jagannath Puri. We were 3 months in Bhubaneswar in his temple there. And
probably while you stayed all these years in the mud, 5, 6 years, like you're saying, your father was with you there, or you were alone?
I was alone.
So
father was working.
How was the decision to go to the mud? Did your father, what did he say? Did he object to it, or did he feel good because you're already a devotee, or he helped you in going there? How was it?
Because Gurudev had been telling this to me since I was 10 years old, then it was like inevitable. How are you going to resist the instruction of Gurudev?
Still, parents were with their sons. Parents, they want their son with them. So
yeah, they were. I would say you have to ask them, but I think they were happy and sad.
Okay.
Happy and sad. Like kata mita.
Kata mita.
Right? Kata mita is very tasty.
Because they're already devotees, so they have understanding of.
Yeah, but Gurudev had been telling me this since I was a boy. So it was almost like expected. The first time I stayed 6 months, and I came back for like 2 months, then I stayed again 6 months, then I came back for 2 months, then I stayed for 8 years without leaving. Then I came back for like 10 days for a visa. And, seva in the temple, there's not much time for other things. Your temple life is very busy, seva life. Gurudev would say, I want my brahmacharis to serve like 10 men. You should serve like 10 men. And so I would see that example in Gurudev's, Shiksha disciples there, how they were serving constantly and in such amazing ways. So when I was there for, after a year or two, there's so many sevas to do, especially festivals and traveling and, helping and serving in the temples. But I started working on publication pretty early on, 2007. I was starting to learn Hindi. I would study books. because my intention was there to stay. So you're going to stay there a long time. You might as well learn the language. And also I wanted to start, I received that instruction to start translating. So I was translating.
Could you please tell us about the work you have done on the publication? What all books you helped translate? And what
So
are you doing now?
I started learning Hindi seriously in 2007, and by 2008 I was working on Bhagavad Patrika and some of Sri Vikram Maharaj's lectures for Raise of the Harmonist and things like that. And then I translated one of Gurudev's articles about Vyas Puja to Param Gurudev, and we gave that to Srila Gurudev in 2009, Raise of the Harmonist in Gaur Purnima time. So I was lucky to have some sevas like that. I worked on Madhurya Kadambini for about 6 months on the third part, and also on Bhagavad Arka Marichimala and some other of the Hindi books. And I was learning Hindi by reading Chaitanya Bhagavat in Bengali. So I was learning Bengali by reading Chaitanya Bhagavat in Bengali with English side by side, and Bengali Jaiva Dharma and Hindi Jaiva Dharma and English Jaiva Dharma all side by side. So that was very helpful. And then mostly, you just make friends with all the sadhus, the Vaishnavas, and speak Hindi with them, or make friends with the sadhus and speak Bengali with them. So that was how I learned that. But I was also doing, I really was attracted to a lot of the kitchen seva in Kartik and in big festivals like Janmashtami. Nandotsav in Mathura, we would feed 20,000 people. In Nandotsav, in one day from that small temple, we would have outside, we would serve prasadam, and then in the temple, batch after batch, we would have outside, and everyone would be coming past in the street, like 20,000 people we would feed in one day. And so all the brahmacharis and all the different Mathura Vasis would serve day and night for Janmashtami, 3-4 days festival. So it takes me back just thinking about it. Life is a very interesting thing. I would say value the time you have in each situation and make the best of it, because it's not going to be there forever. For me, I'm just thinking now of, living in the mud in Mathura, chanting japa on the roof, going on parikrama with the Vaishnavas, going to Giriraj, going in Vrindavan, and yet those days are not here. But service is here, and the Dham is here by service. Wherever there is service to Guru Vaishnavas and instruction following their Vani, then they're with you. But yet, cherish those moments. Anytime you're in the Dham, anytime you're with Vaishnavas, high-class Sadhu Sangha, those are such valuable moments. So I went to Bengal Prachar one time by Gurudev's instruction. I went with Tamal Krishna Brahmachari, who has now taken sannyas. And it's very nice. Bengal Prachar went to Kagdweep and Piali and so many little villages. We went all the way out, like in Samudraga, to the very edge, where everything is just hand pumps, salty water because the ocean is very nearby, and no bathroom. But it's very sweet, actually. The Gaudiyas there are very sweet, and we get to go house to house and beg like a palm full of rice from everyone. And then there's about 6 or 7 preaching parties. And then all together, we come back a few weeks before the Navadvip festival, and we bring back like 20 lorries of rice, like all the trucks, truck after truck after truck, like 1,000 bags of rice. And that's how we feed 20,000 people every day for, a few weeks in Navadvip Parikrama. I went to Bengal Prachar one year, and mostly, had so much service there. I did the time went very fast with Srila Gurudev because he was always traveling and preaching, and there was always festivals. It's like life is very busy if you're engaged in service. So for me, the time went very quickly. We stayed 6 months in Govardhan when Gurudev had just finished that temple there, and they were painting all the murals around the temple. We were there for those 6 months, every day doing Giriraj Parikrama at like 2-3 in the morning, or sometimes 4 in the morning, then bathing in the different kunds, hearing Harikatha, doing kirtan, cooking, festivals. Life was very sweet and very busy. But I would say Gurudev's presence was so powerful. After, when Gurudev entered into the sickness pastimes, it was a very difficult period, but, not to spend so much time getting into all this, maybe another time. But my service after Gurudev, entered Radha Krishna's Leela was more publication, because we immediately started a book about his life and his teachings. So for 5 years, I worked on this book, Sri Guru Darshan, all from, discourses of all his close Vaishnav associates, and interviews of different Vaishnavas that were very close to him, his family members and so forth, and other Vaishnavas, associates, and then compiling from so many different sources, Bhagavad Patrika articles and other places. So we published that in 2016. And then I was also publishing other books like Bilap Kusumanjali, Prem Bhakti Chandrika, Krishna Karnamrita, books on the 6 Goswamis with, our Bhaktivinoda team. We started this Bhaktivinoda in 2012, publishing every day Gurudev's Katha. We started like that from 90s, from 80s. Every day we're publishing Gurudev's Katha and then Vaishnav's Katha. And so since that time when we started publishing, we published like 40 books now. Actually, just this year, we published 9 volumes. Last year, we published 10 volumes. So all of Gurudev's lectures in 96, including translations, one after another, we call it the Bhaktivinoda anthology. The name Bhaktivinoda is a name Gurudev was given by Param Gurudev in 1947. So for us, it means it was really kind of epitomizing Gurudev's mood of friendship and service to all devotees of all groups, and really how he was the true friend of everyone, like a true messenger of Krishna. So that's been one of my main services the last 7-8 years. Especially now, we're trying to get more productive in that because, our mood is like Gurudev's Vani Mandir. All his Vani should be like our temple. All Gurudev's, all his Harikatha, all his teachings, all his books. If we have faith and service and we serve that, then Gurudev is with us always. And so we're really trying to serve that here and then, please Srila Gurudev by that effort.
How did the conception and idea of Bhakt Bandhav New York came? Who thought about it first, and how did it come? And how did such a beautiful place came into existence where we went a few days back?
Yes. During the pandemic in 2020, it became like, I guess Vaishnav's instruction was to come because in Radhakunj in our Vrindavan ashram, we have like almost 200 Westerners living there.
Yes.
From all over, from, different times, different amount of people, but most of the time over 100, 150, 200 from all countries of the world, from the European countries, from China, from Brazil, from America, from Mexico, from everywhere. And so when COVID happened, it became like more challenging how everyone could stay and visas and things like that. And travel was restricted. So specifically, that was one of the impetuses. But I would say in a deeper level, really our mood is we want to serve Srila Gurudev, he is present in our mood, Nitayar Charana Satyatara Sevakinite. He's not materially before our eyes, but by his Vapu, his transcendental deity form, and by his Vani, he's there. And so it's our responsibility as disciple to continue as he is here. Gurudev said he said this in one of his final darshans. He said, I want everything to continue and to increase as well. He said, I want my publications, my temples, my parikramas, everything should continue and increase. And so as it was going on, now it is also going on. Gurudev wanted ashram in the West. When Gurudev was traveling, most of the focus was, taking advantage of that opportunity to be directly with Srila Gurudev, because not everyone, when Swami Prabhupada was preaching, a lot of the disciples were so, engaged in establishing the mission as it was needed, that they didn't have as much time to be with Srila Prabhupada. So Gurudev's was more here to help train devotees and help them advance. It was such an important thing that he did. But now, Srila Gurudev is with us by his Vani, and he's also in all his deity forms established and also in the hearts of all disciples. So because those disciples and followers of Srila Gurudev are all over the world, it's necessary and helpful for there to be centers around the world where we can go to remember Srila Gurudev for those who may not be able to go to India all the time. Even though we may go once a year or twice a year, many people have so many responsibilities here that they cannot just leave everything. Even if you want to go to India, it's not so easy to get citizenship, or, visas is also very difficult. It's very expensive. Everything is not so easy. And so to have some spiritual centers in the West it became apparent that it was very helpful and important. So that's why we came, myself, Prem Pradeep Brahmachari, we came, and then we started, we were in touch with different God brothers and so forth here that decided to come and participate. And we came to New York because our mood was, Gurudev would always say, I want you to preach like in the time of Swamiji, like in the time of Prabhupada. with that same energy of his disciples. So our mood is like we're taking shelter of Srila Prabhupada here. He is like our Srila Gurudev, Srila Prabhupada, they're like our acharyas here. And so we're taking shelter of them, praying to them, and especially praying to Srila Prabhupada for that Shakti, the energy with which everyone served in his time and after his time as well. And so we want to serve Srila Gurudev like that and establish really the mood and message and mission of Srila Gurudev. And so that's why it's a good place to start. You start here, and then gradually other devotees, are preaching in so many places. We want to assist and participate in this effort of Srila Gurudev and have loving, sweet, harmonious dealings with all Vaishnavas. We really believe in that principle of spiritual unity. We're all ultimately in that same spiritual family. And therefore, Mahaprabhu would always say, Kahare na koro ninda Krishna Krishna boli. Don't waste time in looking at others, criticizing others, considering others' faults or this or that. Simply honor and respect all according to their level and eligibility, and try to do your service nicely. So, we're serving under the guidance of those dear Vaishnavas of Srila Gurudev who are given instruction by Srila Gurudev to continue to serve his legacy and take care of his disciples. And so, with respect to all Vaishnavas, honoring all Vaishnavas, everyone is always welcome here. We have lots of festivals. We're inviting ISKCON preachers, Gaudiya Mat preachers, Gurudev followers. In July, we have visits coming from Sripad Budayan Maharaj. Sripad Radhanath Maharaj may visit. Other Vaishnavas come. We've had Sripad Siddhanti Maharaj come many times. Last year, we had festival with Pujapad Bhagavat Maharaj, Pujapad Bhaktanis Maharaj, Pujapad Avadut Maharaj, and other Vaishnavas have all come. So we're very lucky to host Vaishnavas and to also have many Vaishnava festivals here.
So nice, Prabhuji, so nice. So we would like to see those photographs if you have. You can WhatsApp me. Meanwhile, I'll just summarize what you said a little bit, so you have some time to look at your pictures and you can send me, so we can share with everyone how, as a small child, how Gurudev is walking with his hand on your shoulder. If you have that picture, we'd love to see that. So, Rasik Mohan Prabhu, we heard how his service mood is, and we saw how hard he's trying to serve Gurudev with all his might, all his blood, all his sweat. He's giving all his time. I've seen it with my eyes. A few days I stayed with him. He just came from a long journey across the globe, from Hawaii, then from South America, from different places. And then he immediately got engaged in services of the temple, making food, doing so many other services. So this service mood is very, very prominent here. And Gurudev has given him ample blessings also. And he has made a forecast also for him that he will serve my mission, and we can see it come true very beautifully. And he started his talk very, very nicely. Na deva devam achare. Without becoming dev, coming to that level, you cannot understand, you cannot do archana of a devta, because you will never understand what is he. So to understand Gurudev is a long, long process. We have seen him, but we have not taken darshan of him. We have seen him by this material eyes only. We have not gone into depth. We have not realized his situation as a very loving maidservant of Radharani. We have not realized that. So this, he has written made a nice book about Gurudev, Guru Darshan, very aptly named Guru Darshan, because most of his disciples have not taken his darshan, and it's a long process. Maybe it will take many lifetimes for us to understand how deep he's situated. Like he said in the beginning, we can see a mountain, tall mountain, but the depth is much more than the height. So our Gurudev is like this, and we are discovering each day a little bit more about Srila Gurudev by hearing from his lovely devotees, gem-like devotees who are doing so much good service. This is our 330th program, so we have heard 330 of his disciples, and many more will come. So they really inspire us and put that service mood in our heart, because they carry Gurudev in their heart. They carry his paduka, his character, his teachings, his vani, everything in their heart. So when we associate with such devotees, it gets transferred a little bit of, it gets transferred to us also, and we can feel Gurudev's presence. So he said, he is very merciful. He is on a different plane altogether, but because out of his mercy, he appeared on a material plane in front of our eyes. What a big merciful thing he has done to all of us. Not only appeared, he came to our houses, he stayed with us, he put his hand on our shoulder, he walked with us, He chastised us. He did so many leelas with us out of his pure mercy to deliver us from this terrible material world where we are suffering from such a long time. So next statement he made was very, very touching and it's a very deep statement. We must all think about it. And it is very much required in today's time and context. He said, a lot of people think better to be miserable in what you know than to be happy in what you do not know. So we must think about the statement, what he made. We are very happy and miserable in our life, our material life, which we are doing, thinking that this is all in all, and we are trying to somehow make it better. But it will never become better. It will become better only we start exploring new dimensions, when we start meeting new devotees, when we start meeting new Gurudev disciples or new accomplished people who have done service in their life. Only then we can understand, we can get some speck of happiness from them. If you're trying to make our current situation better and not trying to explore, don't keep ourselves closed like a frog in a well. Try to go out, meet people, meet Vaishnavas who are doing so much lovely service. It will open our eyes and it will get in touch with their mercy also. So very profound statement. We all must think about it. And another very nice thing he said is, when we are children, the impressions we make are very, very strong. So it is the duty of all the parents to take their children to places like this, where there is Gurudev is there, where Vaishnavas are present, where the service mood is there. That the impression the children make will be very, very strong. It will be so much beneficial for them. So as a parent, we all must take this learning, what Prabhuji said. He has experienced as a child himself, and he knows how strong those impressions were when he was with Gurudev. So we must, our duty to take our children to places like this. Don't just go on holidays here and there, like we did just a few days back. My daughter herself, she said, I won't go anywhere else. I want to go only where Gurudev is there. And she saw on the internet that Gurudev in the Bhakt Dham in New York, such a nice Gurudev Vigraha. And she, you know what she said? She said, I went to the temple. I did not even look at any other deities. I just went to Gurudev straight away. I just saw him first. And that was my main objective, to see Gurudev there. And she said, I don't remember seeing him live, but when I see his Vigraha, I see him sitting here, present here. So she was very, very happy. So this is how we should take our children to all the places where Gurudev and his presence we can be felt. So Gurudev gave me orders, be a brahmachari and serve my mission, which he is doing very beautifully. He is following Gurudev's orders, as he said. And he said, I'm in association of Radharani's Manjari, Radhika's maid servant. Prabhuji said that he thought like that. Not a very easy job to do for most of us. To be able to realize that you are in association of Radharani's Manjari. We have heard this from our ears, but to grasp it and take it in our heart and believe it 100% is not an easy task. It takes time, and only people with strong sanskars from previous births can have a strong faith like what Prabhuji had. So yes, but we must all try. Whatever sanskar we had, we have to work with them. That's what we have. That's our sampatti. So we have to work with them, make our sanskar even better, meet even evolved devotees, serve them with a nice mood. Don't try to show our qualities to them, but try to learn from their qualities what they have. So one more very nice thing he said, without bhakti ras, community and everything else is meaningless. Very, very important statement. So whatever we do, we have to aim and hanker for that bhakti ras we should get. If you're not getting ras, we are getting only external things. It is all meaningless, Gurudev said. And when I went to the Bhakt Bandhav Dham, I found that ras there actually. I found that sweetness, that ras present in all the activities which they are doing in the morning and evening programs and whole day throughout. So that ras is very, very essential. Wherever that ras is there, everybody will be pulled there, and people will come like madhumakhi on shahad, on honey. All the bees will gather. It is only because of the ras. Why we all gathered around Gurudev from so many sanghas, so many places? Because he had that ras in abundance, and all of us came like bees for that ras. So yes, and he said, Gurudev mercy is like a river, but we must jump in. We are only watching from the side. It is always flowing. It never stops. You see the river Ganges will never stop. It will keep flowing, flowing, flowing. If you want to take mercy, just jump in it. But we are very scared to jump that we'll get drowned. No, Gurudev gives us hope that he will look after us wherever we go. Even in Nark, if you go, he will save us from there. What to jump off in the river? So we must jump in that river. But Gurudev said him that is like a river, we must jump in, and we are 2 fingers short. Gurudev mercy is always there, so we are only 1 finger short all the time, not 2 fingers. We have Gurudev mercy in abundance, but we are scared. We have not enough faith. We have not enough faith in Guru's words. We have faith in money and material connections that will make our life better. But that is not a fact. People who have left it and realized, like Prabhuji, they know very well that Gurudev's Charan Paduka is our only hope. Gurudev's foot dust is our only hope which will deliver us, not this material hankering. And then he said, transcendence above the material world, try to diminishing your material hankering. Asat Trishna, that is one of the 4 what do you call, anarths we have. Asat Trishna. We are hankering after things which are not real, which are material. But he also gave very nice, and this word Gurudev said, don't chase your shadow, run towards light. Maya is a shadow. We cannot stop our material hankerings ourselves, however hard we try. The more you try, the more you will get into it, and it will become worse. So the best way is to stop trying to stop it, let it be where it is, leave it alone, and just look after, go to the sun, go to the Guru and Vaishnavas, and try to serve them. And forget about Asat Trishna. If it is there, let it be. Don't worry about it. It will automatically, slowly go away. But if you try to always think about our Asat Trishna, everybody has so many shortcomings and problems. But if you're thinking to remove them, we are eventually actually concentrating on them and getting more entangled into it. So just forget about it and try to do some service to Guru and Vaishnava. That's what Prabhuji said. Gurudev also gave this advice, and it is those who know how they have got rid of their shortcomings, they know this is the only way. There's no other way. We are trying so hard whole life, but we cannot even get rid of anything. A small anger we cannot get rid of without the mercy of Guru and Vaishnavas. And bhakti must arrive, and afterwards material desires will go away. This is the sequence. Not first material desire will go and then bhakti will arrive. First bhakti will arrive, first Guru Vaishnava will give their mercy, and then automatically, slowly they will go. But we should be trying to remove them. Not that we think it is very good to keep them. No, it is not a good thing. And then sadhu sang of highest caliber is what is required. As high caliber sadhu sang you can get, better it is for us. So we should always hanker for a higher caliber sadhu sang. Gurudev used to say, this is the only one thing which will give us all other things. It's the root cause of everything. And then I liked very much how Prabhuji said that he learned Bengali, Hindi and English Jab Dharm together. And that's how we learned Hindi and Bengali, by comparing them. If you have a desire to do service, seva, then you will do whatever it takes. It's not easy, what Prabhu said, to learn keeping 3 books and reading and finding the meaning and the words and what they mean of a foreign language, go to a foreign country. It requires a lot of hard desire and hankering. Only if you have that lowliam, then we can do such a thing what Prabhuji has done in his life. So we should also try to have that lowliam with us. And then he said, Vani Mandir, we should serve the Gurudev's Vani Mandir, which he is doing and setting example also. Like he's written so many volumes. The Guru Darshan itself is such a lovely book. All Gurudev disciples must read it. And now Prabhuji and their team is making year-wise books of Gurudev lectures. So everything will be well documented year-wise. Whatever lecture he gave, wherever he gave, it will be in present for us to read in book form. In many volumes. He already written, I think, 22 volumes. He was telling, he showed me all those volumes also. So a lot of hard work, a lot of seva. And this is all while he is making the Dham appear, he's making the room, he's making cooking also. He cooked for us such a lovely food by his own hand. We were touched by his service and by his love. So he won over us immediately in 1 or 2 days. Very easy to win by service. So many things he's doing and other Vaishnavas are doing. We should learn how they do, how they manage. For us, if you give us small work to do, we'll be like entangled whole day in it. But how Vaishnavas are so smart in doing seva that they can do Harinam, they can do morning program, evening program, make cook also, and then write books also, translate also, and manifest so many volumes of Gurudev's books, manifest beautiful Dham for devotees to be there. So this is how we should learn from them the service attitude. Then last statement which I noted down from Prabhuji's talk was, Gurudev wanted continue as he is here. Gurudev said people who think their Gurudev has gone, they are foolish people. They have never understood their Guru. They have never even had a small darshan of their Guru. Those who think that the Guru is gone. He is always present here. Wherever we want, he is present there only. In fact, after he leaves his physical body, his presence become more prominent wherever we ask. If he comes there only. So continue as he is here. I want everything to continue and increase. And we are seeing all this is coming true. Everything is continuing as they wanted us, and everything is increasing also. Now Prabhuji shared with me some photographs which I'm going to share with you, and then we'll close today's program. If any one of you want to ask any questions or talk with Prabhuji, you're most welcome to do it. So let's see some of his here. So which one are you? This one in the center with red pants?
Yes.
Oh my God, this is like how many years old?
Maybe 3.
Yes. So this is what he was talking.
There's my father in the background.
This one?
Yes, Nanda Gopal Prabhu.
So this is what he was talking about, sanskar we get as a child. He's playing nice kartal here. And who are these girls now?
Sisters.
Oh, okay. Nice. And who is the other person here?
This is, I think it's Madhavisa Prabhuji.
This-
Really
this
nice
is-
devotees. I
This
didn't
is
have
your
any
house?
photos, so I just found 1 or 2 photos really quickly on an old feed. This next picture is with Shivikram Maharaji.
Oh, wow. So you're sitting here?
Yeah. Whenever he would see, so one time when I first came, that first year,
Mhm.
he asked my father, "Who is this boy?" And my father said, "It's my son." He said, "No, it's not. It's our son." And so whenever I would go there, he would always have me sit by him, or he would, he was very sweet and affectionate. He was really like a father and grandfather.
Yes, look how happy Trivikram Maharaj is looking and how happy Prabhuji is. This is how Vaishnav Sangh is. Even if you don't speak or don't talk, just by mere presence of a Vaishnav like of this caliber, you feel happy from inside. You can see it from their faces. Both of them are so happy. All 3 of them are so happy. Nice. Who is the third person here?
I don't know. Remember this, Prabhu. I have some other photos too, but maybe if I find them, I'll send them to you later.
Okay.
But
This is
you go to the next one. I'll show you the next one first.
all right.
This is with Srila Gurudev when I was like maybe 10.
You are here, this one?
Yes.
Wow.
So I don't have a lot of the other photos. I haven't like collected, but maybe I'll try to ask some devotees who have. I don't know. But this other photo is just recent. This was in doing Gaur Purnima festival in Radhakunj, Vrindavan.
Okay.
So it's just a picture of, we have so many. There's about 50, 60 brahmacharis now in Radhakunj.
Yes, it is growing by the day, and Prabhuji is doing such a lovely seva. Pujapad Preman Prabhuji. He is a seva vigraha. And I find the same mood in Rasik Mohan Prabhuji also, though I have not met a lot of people, but now I'll make endeavor to meet everyone and take Prabhuji's guidance and learn from all the devotees. How beautiful service mood everybody has. And I remember Preman Prabhuji, he was never to be seen doing parikramas, we don't see them going on with parikrama party. They will always be doing service behind. They will always be cooking or always doing some or other seva. And then they will go on a parikrama separately. Prabhuji would not let them miss any parikrama also. So they will do double the task what others will do. Like people like us will go to the parikrama and nicely come and sleep thereafter. But Preman Prabhuji's team, I have noticed that they will serve behind the scenes. They'll make food for everyone. They'll make prasadam for everyone. They will do all the service which are required. And then when we are sleeping or something, I don't know when, they will go for parikrama and they will visit the places also.
We would have
Right.
to, because for Kartik and so forth, we have to prepare the lunch and send it on the tractors. And
Yes.
we're always like busy. It takes a lot of effort to cook for 1,200, 1,500 people.
Yes.
So we would usually go by Jeep in the early afternoon or evening, late evening, very quickly, and go to all the places. And then we would always be in the back, in the kitchen at the back, hearing to Gurudev's Katha from where you can see, but not everyone can see because everyone sees through the Gurudev. So we would be at the back always, when Gurudev would give Katha, we would always stop and sit and listen to Gurudev.
Yes. So the service mood is always from the very beginning has been there. And like Prabhuji said, I have not known him very well personally, even though he is very, very old, like since 93, 94 is there. This is the reason, because they were always working from behind. You will never see them on the mic, Prabhuji's parikars or those who are in this team. You will never see them taking a prominent position, but always serving. Like he had written, translated so many books, but people don't even know. That's why I wanted him to say that what all services he has done. they always working from behind. But this working from behind is such a beautiful experience. This is what gives rise to bhakti in our heart. When we don't hanker for a position of prominence, when we don't hanker for pratishtha, till the time bhakti does not come. But the moment we start living pratishtha as vishtha, that is not required, and start doing service genuinely from our heart, that we actually want to serve this Vaishnava, we actually want to serve our Gurudev's mission without anything in return, then the miracle starts happening. Then you will have to see a lot of things happening. But otherwise, the service is not pure service. It is, we are doing for a reason. We are doing for pratishtha, we are doing for this. So it is okay. It is good when you are not very advanced, then it is good to do. That's the only way to do, because we have always known to get pratishtha all the time. We are all the life we've been doing like this. It does not go in one day. So slowly we have to start service with pratishtha, then slowly you have to let go pratishtha by the association of Vaishnavas and just genuinely enter into service mood, prem service, like Prabhu is saying, prem seva. So service with love. So that is so much prominent here. Prabhuji, you want to say anything else?
Yes, I just maybe with you, Prabhuji, or any devotees, we're trying to look for more helpers who can translate from Hindi to English. We have a few brahmacharis. We're doing a lot of the English transcription, and I'm proofreading and editing everything. But we're trying to do, Gurudev has so much beautiful katha from in India. When he mostly now we did all 96, the Western tour, all the Western countries, everything, every lecture. And we did Houston was all Hindi, but now Bali and Singapore, he gave Hindi katha, Houston, he gave Hindi katha, and we're translating it. But when Gurudev would go back to Vrindavan, he would speak in Bombay, speak in Mathura, speak in Delhi, speak in Vrindavan, speak on Kartik Parikrama in Hindi. And so there's a lot of those lectures that we hope to translate. So if anyone, even like half hour a week, 1 hour a week, if anyone can help translate, we're trying to increase that production. So I would be very, very, very appreciative.
Okay, Prabhuji. I think a lot of Indians in Delhi and other parts of India know English very well, including myself. So first of all, I offer as a volunteer to do what is said, and I will be. You can send me immediately. My daughter Radhika is ready to do. My wife will also help. So all three of us will be very delighted and happy to do little service as what we can. And I'm sure many others who are Indian, they know English very well, and they will come forward. And I encourage everybody to come forward, because this service is very, very nice. Because when you hear and write in detail, you understand what Gurudev is saying. You associate with him, with his Vani, like Prabhuji was saying. It is good for us, very good for us. This seva is very, very beneficial for our own self. So it is, actually, we are doing good to ourselves by doing this service.
Yeah, you get to hear and then also serve the Vani same time, which is very powerful.
So I think everybody who knows English should volunteer for this. I will highly recommend, and I'm very much, my whole family is ready to do, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. If anybody wants to ask anything to Prabhuji, I have unmuted everybody. They can just open their mic and speak, or if they want to say thank you or anything, they are most welcome. Otherwise, I offer my Dandavat Pranams to Prabhuji and his team, whole team, brahmacharis and the people, Grahas who are staying there, are Malini Didi, very kind to us, and her husband, Jagdish Prabhu, very, very nice devotee and very friendly. So I offer pranams to all of his team members and everybody, and I hanker that I may be able to do some little service in their huge project which they are doing. So I can do the small service if by Gurudev's grace and his mercy.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you so much for time, patience and time, Haribol.